And welcome, YouTube audience, to another morning daily space weather stream. We'll talk space weather, earth weather, and viewer comments. Keep the comments coming. They're always amusing. First thing in the morning, be drinking coffee. About maybe 40 minutes, if all goes according to plan, which it never does. Hopefully you're not having too bad of a time right now. I know the economy is shattered. Shattered would be the good term for it. And yeah, we're feeling it at Smash News Network, least busted name of news, just like you are, I suspect. So let us know in the comments what's going on. Oh, hey, what up, Gemma? Stayed up all night? Well, that's fun. Not gonna sleep? It happens to the best of us. Ah, yes. So yeah, the economy's shattered. I'll rant about that for a minute. Uh, Tariffs affected me immediately within less than a week. Tariffs adversely affected me as there were things I couldn't buy last April, like within 4 days of tariffs going into effect. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Tariffs are only one of the issues with the economy. Everything vastly more expensive. Server farms raising everybody's electricity bills is not particularly appreciated, I think, because nobody cares about AI anything, since AI is not intelligent in any way. So there's that. Figuring out how to explain the pyramids for 2 weeks. Well, that's interesting. People have been trying to explain the pyramids for such a long, long time. And, they keep coming to one conclusion. And there's a reason for that. They keep determining that the pyramids are tombs. And it's probably just because the pyramids are tombs. That's the only really logical conclusion that I can reach based on a preponderance of the evidence. So there's that. Oh, they're not tombs, huh? Okay. Well, you'll just have to present anything resembling evidence that they aren't tombs, because they're tombs. The word pyramid even means tomb. So you're going to have a hard time proving pyramids aren't tombs. Good luck with that. But yeah, if you can prove pyramids aren't tombs, I welcome you to do so. So let's look at the sun here. Retranslated hieroglyphs, huh? And instruction manuals. Oh, geez, in that case. No corpse ever found in your tombs. Ever hear of tomb robbers? That's why the pyramids were built in the way that they were built, because the ancient Egyptians knew about tomb robbers. It's really not rocket science, folks. Anyway, here's the sun. And we do have active regions rising here on the eastern limb. So if you look at this area over here, also a massive CME popping off here late in the day yesterday. That is on the far side. And it's a crown prominence too, another feature that we typically see when, we're near solar maximum, because those huge prominences, let me bring that back. This is a feature of solar maximum. So we typically don't see prominences coming out of the polar regions like that, except at solar maximum. So there's a great example of a crown prominence. They are one of the more interesting type of solar coronal filaments. But you know, it gives you a great idea of what these are like when they're facing the Earth. All right. Sometimes, you know, these filaments, when they do this on the Earth side of the solar disk, they don't look the same because of contrast. You know, an object that is like moving right toward you. All right. So let's continue on with space weather facts here. So here's what the sun looks like right now from SDO. And we'll take a look at those rising filaments like we did yesterday. So here we have two new active regions that just rose on this eastern limb. That image is from 11:15 Universal Time. Anyway, continuing on, we won't worry about cosmic ray flux today. Just keep in mind, folks, cosmic ray flux is inversely proportional to solar activity. This is a solar minimum, solar maximum, solar minimum, solar maximum. Cosmic ray flux is inversely proportional to solar activity because the solar plasma carries its own magnetic fields out through space. So when that CME blew off, that's a little plasma cloud there that is, well, I mean, I guess you should say it's a huge plasma cloud because it's like the size of Jupiter when it ejected. So it's pretty big, but anyway. Here is our latest animation from University of Reading. I pressed refresh. Let's hope it does so. There we go. University of Reading's pretty good at forecasting. Really no better or worse than I am. All right. I see a number of comments here. I will get to them momentarily. Also, I'm going to put them on the screen. Just bear with me a minute here. If you're new to the channel, take a moment to press the subscribe button, press like if you haven't already done so. And for some reason, the forecast is not loading, so let's just move on. We'll come back to that perhaps. All right, current conditions for the solar wind are, looks like we have ACE and Discover right now. We're looking at, this is just the 1 day solar wind data. So total field is only 5 nanotesla with a BZ of -0. Very diffuse solar wind, just like yesterday. Not even 1 proton per cubic centimeter at the moment, 0.98 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind velocity is still elevated here. Coronal hole high-speed stream continues at 503 kilometers per second. Sunspot number is up a bit as we have new active regions having risen. Those are sunspots. Obviously, since the sunspot number has come up. And here are your comments about pyramids being electricity generators and so forth. That's just adorable. All right, you retranslated hieroglyphs. Fantastic. You should comment on the Discord channel so we can have a real discussion about this instead of in the YouTube comments. Anyway, sunspot number is currently at about 63 sunspots. 63 sunspots. Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard here. This is the NOAA forecast for space weather. Shows no incoming space weather. So the coronal hole high-speed stream should be ending here at any moment, really. It's been a little longer lived than we anticipated. And here's another important data set, the 10.7 centimeter radio flux, which is at about 117 solar flux units, or SFU, the 10.7 centimeter radio flux. If you're wondering what solar flux units are, they are 10,000 Jansky. So 10,000 Jansky of radial flux density. Jansky is a measurement of radial flux passing through a vacuum. So we use that to measure radio from space. And this is talking about flux density. And it varies with the solar cycle. As you can see, sunspot number is the red line. Radial flux is the black line. They are directly proportional, unlike cosmic ray flux, which is inversely proportional to sunspot number, more or less. It's not the sunspots themselves that create the reduction in cosmic ray flux. It is the magnetic fields, but without getting into a deep physics discussion about it, let's don't do that. It's the daily space and Earth weather. All right, lots of comments here. Let's let the coronagraph play. There could be some more CMEs headed our way, but it doesn't look like it. I suspect that is just a very lengthy CME from that North Polar Crown Prominence that we saw. I can shrink this down one size and then show your chats. There we go. All right, what do we have here? You figured it out with physics and math. Fantastic. Love the pH. Double tap the screen with my tip. Thank you. So no tombs in the pyramids. All archaeologists are wrong. You dudes know more about it than archaeologists. Got it. I will take your comments with a grain or indeed a truckload of salt. Thanks for leaving comments, everybody who has. Now's the time to leave one because I'm reading them. Some people think that the pyramids are used to create piezoelectric power. I don't know what they were powering. There would be, evidence of an infrastructure that uses electricity and so on. Yeah, Tut was found in a tomb, exactly. In a tomb. They got lots of tombs in Egypt because they wanted to bury kings with valuables in place. Never mind. All right. What do we have here? A Bessel beam. I don't know what that is. Please define what a Bessel beam is in the comments, as I don't do research during streams. Weird. We had grade school science, math, and physics. I'm sorry about your smooth brains, like untouched snow from actual facts. Yeah, really. Sorry about your smooth brains from untouched snow from actual facts. Could we ever live on the sun? Is there water there? Maybe. Is there water there? A little. There's hydrogen there. When I can't go to sleep, I go for a long walk. It works for me. Yo, let me just tell you, leisurely strolls are the ultimate training tip. All right, so one may say that I'm pretty okay at bikes, and that would be an accurate statement. And one of the things that I broke out just in the past year was the leisurely stroll. All right, the leisurely stroll is perhaps the most valuable training device that there is. Nothing says recovery better than a leisurely stroll, because you can go at whatever speed you want. You know, there's no incentive to speed up, especially if you're walking in a place that has, little traffic, not super hard terrain, stuff like that. Leisurely strolls are heavily underrated. All right. So if you want to be an elite athlete, have the leisurely stroll in your arsenal. All right. It's very, very important. And they're fun. A nice leisurely stroll after dinner is super good for your health, your metabolism, and so on. I'm not going to get into a deep nutrition conversation on this stream either, because it is indeed the daily space and Earth weather. So yeah, leisurely strolls. An after dinner walk is one of the ultimate. So maybe consider that. Now, of course, I do more exercise than I can handle. So My leisurely strolls are done typically for recovery purposes because I do very, very hard, one may say, inhuman things on the bike. And that creates a need for a lot of recovery because active recovery is vastly superior to inactive recovery. If you feel sore and beat up because you worked out too hard, you have to do some leisurely strolls, folks. All right. Still getting to your comments here. Thanks everybody who's typed something. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists. We frankly remain surprised that you have. So cheers to that. Have a sip of your Java or whatever your current beverage is. On me. Just kidding. It's not on me. Don't send me a bill. I won't pay it. Bit of Culture says, does the sun let immigrants in? Yes, the sun allows immigrants. You don't Discord? Oh, okay. Well, I mean, an email conversation is very tedious, and a Discord chat is very useful because it allows many people who understand physics better than I do to weigh in on your theory of the pyramids, which, by the way, let me reiterate, the pyramids are tombs. So there's that. See, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and nobody's provided any. I don't care what Jimmy Corsetti or 1,000 other hacks say about archaeology, because they're hacks. Jimmy Corsetti, if you're watching this, don't come to Lehigh Valley. I'll find you. They used mummies as batteries. Oh, yeah, of course. They used mummies as batteries. Who wouldn't do that? That would totally work. You could power absolutely nothing with that. So, yeah, I'm sure the mummies were batteries. There's the physics to prove it. Pardon my sarcasm. I mean, come on, dudes. Look at the entire design of these buildings. They had phase sickness. It's a theoretical beam. That sounds like a theoretical, nonsensical, made-up thing. You should bicycle instead of using your phone. 100%. I mean, like, I should pin that comment. But instead, I'll invite you all to visit the homepage at smashomash.com. If you haven't done so, well, maybe you ought to. Smashomash.com is the homepage. So visit that, and then you'll be able to find our Discord chat and so forth. If you want to have a real science discussion, do it on our Discord channel, because YouTube comments suck. They're terrible. They're trash. This platform barely functions. Google can't create a bug-free application. Discord works just fine. But yes, you should definitely ride your bike instead of using your phone. Like, the one is beneficial to your health, and the other is detrimental to your health. The one wastes your time, and the other one saves your energy. One is good for your legs, and the other causes your legs to atrophy. It seems like a great idea. Yeah, I just posted on Facebook. Isn't it a funky coincidence that we have a TV show depicting a dystopian future called Black Mirror that a ton of people are viewing on Black Mirrors? Like this device right here, the device that I'm currently streaming on, is a Black Mirror when it's turned off. So, I mean, you can't make this up, folks. You can't make it up. The Babylon Bee could not write the content that is currently reality. So, yeah, if server farms are raising your electricity bill, let us know in the comments how much you think you ought to pay for Mark Zuckerberg's latest video chip farm. How much do you think? Do you think your electricity bill should go up, I don't know, 10%, 33%, 50%? How much should your electric bill go up so Zuck can compute with AI more? That's really worth it, right? Let's use all of the world's electricity to power large language models, which aren't intelligent. Great idea. Great idea, folks. The wizards of AI, the pioneers of AI are pioneers in fraud. Fraud. All right. Retro Doomsday says, I have a personal theory that the Hawara complex is actually not, quote, flooded, end quote. It is a massive cooling chamber for an ancient massive laser gimbal that locked the moon into place as with a tractor beam. Yeah, of course. I mean, who wouldn't think that? Like, I mean, that isn't that the going theory for the Hawara complex? A thing I've never heard of. I'm pretty sure it's because the Earth has a Death Star sized tractor beam to hold the moon in place. I mean, look, we're living on the edge here, folks. Right now, the tractor beam has been off, for thousands of years, and it's just pure luck that the moon is where it is. I mean, extraordinary claims, bro. Let's check out that CME from the perspective of Stereo A, since it's always nice to have an additional view of things, especially when it's a sensible additional view of things. So right around midnight last night, there was this insane crown prominence. Oh man, come on, dude. Weak. Yeah, you can only see the tail end of it. That sucks, man. Come on, Stereo A. Sup with that. Anyway, moving on. This is where planets are located. This does not count as space weather, by the way, because planetary locations aren't space weather, and they don't affect space weather in any way that we're able to measure or corroborate or use for forecasting. Oh, Trump will bring humanity unlimited power. Oh, wow. Well, thank goodness. I mean, if Trump's going to bring unlimited power, then let's just build every server farm that can be built. Let's run all the power cables to all the server farms, because our savior Trump is going to bring humanity unlimited power. Oh, if you're Boxster, I would hate to see a Targa, because oh my gosh, are you Boxster or are you Spider Top? Yeah, Donald Trump will bring us unlimited power. Okay. Let me know when you're able to afford your own electricity bill. Proton flux remains flatline here. No solar energetic particles, no major flares. We had a nearly M-class event. So that's a thing. Did it come from the eastern limb? I'll bet it did. You want to make a wager? Let's bring up the one-day chart here, because who the hell cares about 3 days? Our viewers are trying to survive today because they're not out of touch with reality, like most politicians who are completely out of touch with reality. All right. Let's see. Fairy Godmother's dog is going to publish her book first. Fantastic. Please send me a preprint copy, and I will not upload it to the dark web. Every single person's work is needed. I agree. Make sure to get into the ether. The ether is another non-existent physics principle. The ether, a thing that's not there, that relativity proves over and over and over and over and over and over again, is not a thing. Cycling is not the greatest for your hips. That is true, I am Boxster. Cycling is not the greatest thing for your hips. A lot of people that only ride bike, including some top bike racers, because they don't do enough cross training, they have horrendous ankle, knee, and hip dysplasia, because our legs get so strong that it really becomes an issue. Cross training must be done, because if you make your cycling muscles that strong, keep in mind your cycling muscles are mainly your leg straightening muscles. And so if you don't do any hamstring work, you don't do any core work, you might tear yourself apart. It's a thing that happens. I mean, powerlifters out there, um, let me know what you think about this. But yeah, hip dysplasia and knee dysplasia are super common with cyclists, and cross training is a must. The better you get, the more important cross training is, because the marginal gains you get from cycling start to diminish. Because when you enter into the realm of overtrained, you're screwed. So remember, leisurely strolls. I talked about it earlier. Anyway, the GOES X-ray flux here is pretty flatlined, but the flare happened at 3, right around 4 o'clock this morning, Universal Time. So let's take a look at that flare from the GOES. And indeed, it did come from that eastern limb. So no surprise there. I said yesterday that my favorite place to see large flares was indeed that eastern limb, because the sunspots that we don't see the magnetic fields for yet are probably better candidates than these two fairly inactive sunspot groups that we have on the Earth side of the disk. So those should be interesting when they rise. Let's take a look at it. We'll look at 94 angstroms. We haven't shown that on the channel for a while. One of the many ionized iron species that are observed by GOES 19. We'll give that a minute to load and come back to that. And we'll look at the heliosphere next. Let's just look at today's data, as Earth has just moved into a North Pole sector, as we showed on yesterday's video. And there's that North Pole magnetic sector. Earth and stereo B, that's this, are in that north sector. Stereo A remains in the South Pole magnetic sector, located to Earth's west. Here's our coronal hole line of sight plot. Let's bring up the latest. We'll just show today. You'll see North Pole oriented coronal holes facing Earth. We can expect them to provide a high-speed wind, solar wind. In about 3 days, we'll see a density spike followed by a velocity spike and a reduction in that density. Here's 94 angstroms. We'll show you that flare briefly. That nearly M class. It was a high-level C class flare. There it is, peeking over the limb. So that's the biggest intensification for the past 24 hours. Not even an M-class event, but we'll be looking at those sunspots next. So to the extent that we are able to see them, looks like the southern one is a little bit ahead of the northern one. Let's look at, we'll go to Tololo, Chile. Located in the Atacama Desert. They got clear skies overhead most of the time. Let's take a look at those magnetic fields. The ones on the Earth side of the disk here, these ones haven't changed very much. They are pretty magnetically simple. They are still beta class sunspot groups, it looks like. This one here is just large. It looks like an alpha class sunspot. So this one here, I suspect, is beta class. I can see a little bit of an indentation there on the magnetogram. So this could be a big sunspot. This could be a big sunspot, and I suspect it is beta class. So we're expecting some South Pole oriented umbrae to rise here momentarily. Let's take a look at the view in red light, also from Cerro Tololo. So with these sunspots, this setting group here, it is beta class. Actually, this is really a separate group. Really, this is an alpha class and another alpha class sunspot group here. This one up here, this is a beta class sunspot group. This one could produce some flares, but it has degraded in the past 24 hours. So see, some of these umbrae are getting swept asunder. And there we can see these new active regions rising. Let's bring up the last frame here to get a better bead on that. Okay, this does look like a beta class sunspot group here. So this one may have some flare potential. Let's take a look at that again. Got leading south pole. I don't know. I think that might be an alpha class sunspot group. But it does have some flare potential. This group up here is looking better. Obviously, it's already produced a near M class event. Let's look at filaments next. We'll stick with Cerro Tololo. It's looking pretty good today. I see a number of comments coming through. I will get to them. Why is it not cooperating? That's better. Let's put your chats on the screen while we show filaments. By the way, if you want to name filaments, follow us on Twitter, x.com/SmashoMash. Again, otherwise known as Twitter. Yo, that is so true. I'm Boxster. Runners become bikers, then swimmers before they just walk. The body isn't crazy about repetition. 100%, dude. For real. Anything gets played out, right? No matter how good it is, anything gets played out. Your favorite song, don't listen to it too much, folks, because it will get boring. Boring. And if your workout routine's boring, it's a problem. Now, what you've stated here, runners become bikers, then swimmers, 100%. That applies to me. I'm in that mode. I'm not going to become a swimmer because I swim like a lead anchor. My legs just drag me down, drag me down. I have a small upper body. I have the upper body of like a 5'10" dude, and I have the lower body of like a 6'5" dude. So below the waist, I'm massive, and above the waist, I'm tiny. So my swimming is trash, and it's never going to get super good. But yeah, I was a world-class middle distance runner before I became a cyclist. That's part of what gave me the confidence to become a cyclist, knowing that I can run a hilly 2-miler faster than most guys at the World Championships could run a 2-miler on a track. So yeah, I'm pretty quick. And you know, I was planning on playing football. Yeah, I'm a defensive back. So you don't want to meet me in the open field. You don't want to meet me in the open field. If you weigh 300 pounds and you think you're going to block me in the open field, you're going to miss. If you weigh 200 pounds and you think you're going to outrun me in the open field, you're going to fail. If you're a receiver and you think you're going to reach out and catch a ball in the open field, by the third time you try, you'll start to lose your faith in your ability to catch the ball or run with it because you'll get smoked. So there's that. But yeah, runners become bikers, then swimmers. And look, that's why so many dudes right now are like, I've become a triathlete, right? It happens. Most really good triathletes, they're like state championship level swimmers by the time they graduate high school. That's, you know, you get out of the water in the top 10 or something like that when you go to the Ironman, if you're expecting to actually win, because if the masses just get in front of you, you got so many people to pass on the bike, and it's dangerous. All right. Triathletes are not historically known as the best bike handlers. I know some triathletes from around here, Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, that are spectacular cyclists and amazing bike handlers. But for the most part, triathletes aren't that good at bike handlers because they've got to spend so much time in the pool and in the run, and there's so much technique associated with cycling that it tends to make them bad bike riders. They tend to be bad mechanics too. No offense to triathletes. Look, I understand your plight, and I ride with triathletes all the time. I've got friends that are triathletes, and some of my favorite teammates of all time are triathletes, or at least got into the sport of bike racing through triathlon. So anyway, we've got filaments on the solar disk. You can see these dark absorption features here in hydrogen alpha from Cerro Tololo's ground-based solar observatory. These are solar filaments, just like that crown prominence we showed you. You would think the crown prominence would actually show up on here, but it's, for some reason, it's not there, which is kind of weird. Oh, what's going on? I don't have the latest data. It's going to show that crown prominence big time. Or is it? I think it's on the wrong side of the planet. Let's actually look at Udaipur. Udaipur is on the right side of the planet. And it's not showing up there either. Seriously? Well, anyway, whatever. Again, don't forget to follow us on X if you want to name filaments after your friends, your foes, or even yourself. Hopefully you're not worshiping from the altar of digital nonsense like so many people are on the internet right now. That's a great background to have there. All right, what do we have? Nuclear reactors in every major city. Power problem solved. It's X now, lol. It's still Twitter because X is not a brand. So we have to call the social media site something, and we call it Twitter because we can't fucking call a social media site a letter. You see, letters are used to spell words and shit. You got to be literate to be able to do branding. So trying to take X, it's a brand now. No, it's not, and it never will be. Twitter's a brand, and this guy is the most overrated human being in the history of mankind. I'm pretty convinced at this point. Overrated. Worships at the same digital altar of Sundar Pichai nonsense that Donald Trump does. What a crock of shit. It was not that long ago. The way we measure dating is incorrect because we assume the earth all has been the way it is now, blah, blah, blah. Okay, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. So carbon dating and other types of radiologic dating is not accurate. I beg to differ. That's a hole in your theory that you're not going to be able to plug. Electron storm continues. So going on with the space weather, check it out. We are in electron storm mode. So expect some bad performance from your GPS. Let's see what the total electron content's looking like. Excuse me. Total electron content forecast. I know it's on here. There it is. Let's see if this has been improved, as many of these have been improved. So this is your total electron content forecast. This is showing you where the electrons are most likely to gather. So this is where your GPS is going to work badly. This is all of the electrons all the way from about 25,000 miles of altitude down to ground level. So this is actually even more than are measured by the GOES electron flux, because the GOES electron flux, oh man, what did I do here? I did something unintentionally. I'm going to bring that back. Hold on a minute. Total electron content forecast. New tab. There we go. So the GOES electron flux is trying to measure the electron flux at the F layer. All right. So just at this area. The total electron content forecast depicts all of the free electrons. So again, the satellite, the GOES satellites are at about 23,000 miles of altitude, way, way, way above in a geosynchronous orbit. If you were orbiting down here, you would be in a fast orbit, not a geosynchronous orbit. If you're at 23,000 miles of altitude, that's a geosynchronous orbit. Very slow, so slow that it's not moving in relation to the Earth, geosynchronous. So those satellites are way up there. Total electron content uses ground-based stations to measure the ions. So this is actually even, this is more electrons than are shown in this data, which are just endeavoring to measure it at the F layer. You can read about this in the data tab if you want to. Right there, the data tab will tell you what this is measuring. Anyway, here's the ionosphere. This is what it currently looks like. I'll show you the animation today since I actually went into some detail about that for once, which I usually don't do because it's pointless, because people don't understand the physics and they don't make any attempt to understand the physics. So why tell them what it is? So here's the ionosphere. Now, this is just the F layer, okay? So once again, back to this diagram, it puffs up in the daytime and it shrinks in the nighttime. So here is the Australian Bureau of Meteorology's measurements. These are actual observations. This is the vibration of the F layer. And we are seeing a lot of low frequency anomalies, especially south of the equator. That is where more things tend to pile up because it is summertime. So it's getting more radiation, and that creates effectively a low pressure zone in the ionosphere. And I mean, that's a little bit about how things propagate. We'll also show the anomaly gram. That's anomaly in megahertz from a 30-day median. And you can see a lot of red. Those are low frequency anomalies. This is also going to show you where the South Atlantic anomaly is, which is right here. Right off the west coast of South America, right near the equator, as you can see, right about there, near the 90 degrees, that's west longitude. There's also another anomaly right here, another weak spot, not as weak as the South Atlantic anomaly, but this African anomaly, which is kind of right by the African west coast right there. Very obvious on the anomaly gram. And no, it does not mean doomsday. You see, folks, our finest days lie ahead, and doomsday end times prophets, they just lie. They don't have the extraordinary evidence that they need in order to make their ridiculous claims valid. And so we don't pay any attention to them, except to the extent that we lambast them on social media. I mean, that's a thing. We are free speech advocates. And as free speech advocates, we advocate you to not talk out your you-know-what, because you will be made fun of online. You will be shamed. And if you propagate nonsense on the internet, you will be held accountable. One way or another, you'll be shadow banned. They're gonna get you, big tech. It really sucks ass. They aren't wizards of anything except fraud. I said one way or another, they'll go to prison or they'll end up in a worse condition. Here's the blue marble in grayscale. I like to change lyrics to songs to suit reality. Speaking of reality, our merch shop is reality. I would say to each of you, Universum Liberate. Support the Galactic Federation Special Forces and proclaim Universum Liberate. I mean, we've got a set of coasters. In fact, I've got one right here. I'm using one right now, folks. So, Galactic Federation. How you like them apples? Not too much. Yeah, you want a Galactic Federation tote bag? Or perhaps a magnet to stick on your car so people know that you support the Galactic Federation Special Forces? There's a link right below this video to our merch shop. And yeah, the symbol represents the Milky Way galaxy. Instantaneous transmission. And security and signal strength. Yes, yes. The ability to strike out anywhere in the galaxy at distances of 32,000 light years at a time. That's what the symbol stands for. So, Universum Liberate. If you don't know what it means, you have access to the internet. Perhaps look it up. There it is spelled out in perfectly delightful Greco-Roman letters or Arabic letters, whatever they're called. Why are they called Arabic letters? Can anybody tell us in the chat? Next, we're going to look at, you may have noticed that we've transitioned into Earth weather, which is why we're now looking at the water vapor map for the U.S. So there is the lower 48 as the Banzai Express continues to send moisture due south. This huge kink in the jet stream that we were showing yesterday is responsible for this weather. You can see dry air, really cold Arctic air here, making its way across Minnesota, Wisconsin. Don't forget Iowa and Illinois, two of the more boring states I've driven across. Let us know in the comments which states you've driven across. Don't forget to sort your chat into live chat. You see up here in the top left, I've got top chat, live chat, fan funding. If I click live chat, it's going to show all of the comments because otherwise you'll have YouTube curated comments because reasons. As if anybody wants their comments censored. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Anyway, I see some more comments here. What do we got here? Fairy Godmother's dog states, there were 5 world-ending calamities that happened at once, that in 19 minutes the captain of Khufu saved the planet. Okay, if you say so. If you say so, pardon my sarcasm. Yes, let's get energy better so it's cheaper. That is a good point. Yes, I agree. 100%. Let's get energy better so it's cheaper. Facts. That is a goal. This guy looks kids in basements for 12 years at a time. Yeah, social media. Social media, whenever I say social media, I say social media. Because social media is about as social as locking yourself in a basement, chaining yourself to the wall, and having access only to bottles of cheap vodka and cans of peas for a month. That's how social media is. Install the Don't Die app. The Don't Die app, you familiar with Brian Johnson? What are you, some kind of dick? Brian Johnson? You don't know who that is? Well, the Don't Die app is real social media, unlike Twitter and Facebook and linked to bullshit and shitstagram and NoobTube. NoobTube. It's what we call the RPG in Wolfenstein Enemy Territory, the NoobTube. Well, YouTube is the NoobTube of NoobTubes. I mean, the boomer arguments on YouTube are just as idiotic as on Facebook. It's just by younger people who are just as silly as the boomers that argue on Facebook. What a joke. Real social. Real social. I don't know who you're talking about locks kids in basements, but thanks. There is 0 white D-backs in NFL. Not true. Not true. Check your stats before stating like mistruths in our comments section. Yeah? That's Ake City by committee. Sack slappers. That's a good term. Sack slappers. What kind of ball bag goes around slapping sacks? Ball bags, I state you. True or false? Our magnetic sphere has been weakening for the past 170 years. Smooth glide down. Not true. Not true. I mean, you're talking about Earth's magnetic field, I imagine. not really weakening for 170 years, as it hasn't been accurately measured for 170 years. So we don't really know what it was doing in the 1850s. So, huh? Get serious. And by the way, the pole shift is not dangerous in any way. So there are a lot of dummies on YouTube who are like, the pole shift, the pole shift, the poles are going to flip and it's an excursion. It's not a polar excursion. Polar excursions appear in the geologic record. We're not experiencing one of those because Earth's magnetic fields are not weak enough to be even considered a polar excursion. So what? Like, the pole shift is not even news. It's a nothing burger. Nothing burger. And there's a lot of people gorging on nothing. They use buzzwords that they don't understand, and they think that they understand science. It's pretty fucking fucked up. All right, so there's a bunch of moisture moving north here. We're going to get some snow in Pennsylvania. I'm looking forward to it. What about you? Let me get rid of my forecasts, because I've got forecasts here that are old, and I don't want to be a son of a bitturn with old forecasts, because that's not doing anybody any good. These are the things I put up yesterday, and nobody wants to see that. Look how lazy I am. I didn't even take down the old forecasts. How you like them apples? Well, it's a live stream, so deal with it. But yeah, really cold air making its way down here toward Florida, as we stated in yesterday's video. Here's our U.S. Doppler radar map, courtesy of radar.weather.gov. Heaviest storms here, just passing the deep south here, Atlanta. It's going to mostly miss you to the south, but Columbia, Charlotte, Fayetteville, Raleigh, Greensboro, Norfolk, and Richmond, you're in the crosshairs for some severe thunderstorms, possibly even tornadic activity. Look at those red areas. That is a lot of fast motion over a lot of distance in the vertical air column. That's what Doppler radar measures, by the way. Vertical motion of water droplets in the air column. No, it doesn't register chemtrails, since those are imaginary. Next, windy.com, we're going to show the satellite data. Look at that low in the North Atlantic. Dude, that is a serious low. Look at that thing. That is not a place to be. That is not a place to be rowing a Viking longboat right now. If you're in an open top boat somewhere south of Greenland, it's a bad day, dudes. A bad, bad day for rowing the North Atlantic in an open top Viking boat. Not recommended. I wouldn't be doing it. While I am a Viking, and while I do not get seasick, while I find myself at home in the fog and on big waves. Those waves are too big. We'll show you in a moment. But first, lightningmaps.org, folks. Lightningmaps.org. Don't you want to know where the thunderstorms are? This could save your bacon. Although right now it looks like they're just getting rain down there. That's kind of surprising. Go away, ad. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. This does not look like it is real time. 8.2 minute delay. What? 3.5 minute delay on your real-time lightning map. All right, well, son of a bit turn. It's not as good as it was last time I checked. All right, what do we have here? I see more comments. Leading to a lot more devastation. Why would the magnetic field lead to electrical like, what are you talking about? This is a theory. This is the kind of shit that Ben Davidson would say. Like, cut me a break. It started to decline after the Carrington event in 1859. We started reading it in 1855, thankfully. We didn't start reading it. We started measuring it in a few places using really, really old magnetometers. It's not... We are not seeing a magnetic excursion. And any son of a bitturn who claims we are is either lying, incorrect, or both. Not scary, not going to affect the grid. Civilization's not going to be destroyed by a solar storm. The world is not ending. Deal with it. Here's a 72-hour GFS forecast for pressure and precipitation. Like I said, there's some snow coming to Pennsylvania. I'm delighted to state that because I like that kind of thing. We'll also show accumulation, total positive snow depth change. Sorry for everybody who's getting flooded. We are not showing rain accumulation. Please visit your local weather forecasters to see if you need a kayak and a hard hat to survive the floods. Here's the snow, and check out the snow around Ontario, dude. That's the spot. Shout out to Mikey Biz. Good luck this weekend with your slope style competitions and your coached athletes. All right, we're also going to show temperature anomaly forecast. Keep in mind, this is not raw temperature data. This is temperature anomaly in degrees Celsius. There it is. And like I said, it's going to be 20 degrees below normal in South Florida, 20 degrees Celsius below normal. There is the forecast. And we've got 20 degrees below normal in places like South Dakota, North Dakota, Minnesota, and so forth. Them is some cold temperatures. And of course, the reason is because of the jet stream. So we'll show the jet stream forecast as well. Here's the 72-hour GFS 250 millibar forecast, a specific band of wind that shows us where the jet stream is located. And there you can see that huge kink in the jet stream sending cold air from the Arctic all the way to the Gulf of Trump. What's this called now? The Gulf of Barron Trump. What's it called? The Gulf of Trump. We'll close out the Earth meteorology segment here in just under an hour by showing the winds of the planet. Let's briefly show the waves. As you can see up here, south of Greenland, we've got nearly 30-foot waves. That's more than I would prefer to experience on a Viking longboat. What about you? Anyway, back to winds. Here are the surface winds of the central world. Jet streams. Doubled up jet stream over North Africa. Jet streams of the west. With a massive upper level anticyclone here over Oregon. Oregon. Tolerant Oregon. So I threw the rock and put a nice sized dent in his giant Hot Wheels car. The truck screeched to a halt in the parking lot of some business, I don't remember the name, up the street from Fred Meyer. And they got out their clubs and they ran after me, yelling, "We don't like Jello Biafra anymore because he made us wear masks when we went to his spoken word concert." But I digress. Surface winds of the west, surface winds of the east. And let's don't forget those highly organized jet streams, which are doubled up over the Southern Ocean, but highly convergent over the North Pacific, where they're reaching speeds of 200 miles per hour. So trans-Pacific flights are looking kind of fast. We'll close out today's video with some more solar imagery, and perhaps even your comments, especially if there are coherent ones. We have our fingers crossed for coherent comments. Our favorite comments are the ones we can understand. Our second favorite comments are the ones that are poignant to anything covered in the video. Our third favorite kind of comments are ones that say something profound. Just kidding, those are our favorite of all. So yeah, what do you got? Why did everything shut down last May with only an incoming minor X blast? I don't know what the hell that means, dude. There was no such thing as an incoming minor X blast. What does that even mean? Are you talking about an X-class solar flare? Nothing shut down from an X-class solar flare. Nothing shut down from the last May's solar storms. I don't even know of any satellites that got destroyed by it. So what the hell are you talking about, dude? It didn't do jack to the grid. It didn't do jack to anybody. So why did everything shut down last May with only an incoming minor X blast? I reject your question on all of the premises of the question. Learn to argue and get a clue. Cheers. What the hell? Why did everything shut down? Nothing shut down. You're just making this up from whole cloth. All right, let's show this prominence again one more time. Look at that. That's an insane crown prominence. And it probably didn't even come out of the crown region, but from our perspective, that counts as a crown prominence. Now, of course, we did have this little CME, which is actually massive. I mean, it's millions of kilometers in length coming out of this western active region here. That's associated with the Sara-Housial filament. Look at that. Sara-Housial filament still producing activity over here on the west, but because of this crown prominence, that is going to be a little bit overshadowed, as that is a properly bonkers crown prominence. Just properly bonkers. Anyway, it's time to close this thing out. It's been too long. I expected it to be 40 minutes, and it's over an hour. So thanks to everybody who's tuned in, left comments, etc. We do appreciate your commentary and, of course, your science research. We encourage all of you to do the math, do the reading, do your own research. Don't take my word for it. Look up what I state. I don't just emphatically state things because I'm trying to grift you for cash or sell you real estate or anything like that. I want you to be able to forecast your own weather, both in space and on the ground. So that's part of the motivation for the channel, producing non-pseudoscience infused daily space weather content. So thanks for tuning into that. Congratulations once again on realizing the channel exists. I've been your host, Dan, aka Smash-O-Mash, signing off, and until next time, may that solar wind be at your back. And just a quick reminder that we do have a coronal hole high-speed stream coming in. This is a well-defined North Pole-oriented coronal hole system right here. It's so well-defined that it's even low in helium. So that is a proper coronal hole right there of North Pole orientation. And of course, you can see it is indeed transequatorial.